Hey guys, welcome to Larry the GM, the YouTube channel on Larry the GM. Folks, hopefully I'll give folks a few minutes to join. It is straight up now at 12 noon. Hopefully you found the site. And on the site we have both the full World Series guide and we also have daily game preview. That's what we will speak from every day at noon, and I will update it as we have more information. Today, the big information is the roster set for the Astros and the Phillies. I don't give the full Phillies roster. I'll give you the two changes from the roster, and I'll probably update it in there. I just wanted to get the information out. So, number one, if you're on YouTube, please give me a shout out. Let me know you're there. I guess I will jump on YouTube in on my phone so I can see kind of what the numbers look like there. Give me just a minute to do that. All right, guys. And so here we go. Um, Today we're going to cover the World Series rosters being set. As we talk about daily, we'll talk about the planned starters for the series. We will set the stage for Game One by reviewing the starting pitchers. Then we'll won't have an effect today because everybody's rested. We'll talk about that, but we will talk as the series goes on. We'll talk about who's been spent with previous appearances in the series, not available, and then we will talk about the series. So if anybody is out there, let me know, and I'm going to check. Okay, so here we go with the series. Let me check something real quick. This should also be live on Twitter, so you may be watching me there. And I see there's some notices on Twitter, so let me check those out real quick. Okay, guys, let's get into it. So the Astros put out their message saying, "Hey, the roster's been set." If any of you guys have been watching or reading the article, you were not surprised, but some of the more casual fans may be surprised. Here we go. Here's the roster. Jump back one more. Oh, all right, there we go. My my Twitter skills are failing me here. Let's jump. Okay. The catchers, Maldonado, Vasquez, no surprise there. The infielders, Altuve, Bregman, Diaz, Dubon, Gurriel, Hensley, no real surprise there. Mancini, Pena, or Jordan Alvarez, Chaz McCormick, Kyle Tucker. No surprises. We did talk about some possibilities, but even in the article in the full World Series guide, I told you I didn't think they were going to execute any of those. And then the big news is the pitchers. So just jump to the article. I show that here. The big news is we will have Will Smith on the roster. For folks again that have been following us on the website, that's not a surprise to you guys. We talked about if you don't understand what's happened, go to the full World Series preview guide, matchup guide, and you'll see why Will Smith makes sense. I'll cover it real quickly here, but there's your roster. The Phillies did add Nick Nelson, as I mentioned they might in the article, and not left off Bailey Falter. I can show you why that happened again. And then they also did leave off Dalton Guthrie, as I supposed, but they added Nick Maton. So I will adjust the guide for them. I don't have to adjust the guide for the Astros because I was so confident they were adding Will Smith to the roster. That's the way I wrote the guide. So the plan starters for the series is Verlander tonight versus Nola, the two aces of the team. Now, one may argue Philadelphia considers Wheeler their ace. Okay, well then we also consider Valdez an ace. Okay, so game two is Valdez versus Wheeler. It's likely to be Javier versus Syndergaard. I'm guessing we'll adjust that if that doesn't turn out to be the case. And the Astros could go with McCullers in game three. I think they're going to go with McCullers in game four. That way, what they would end up doing is Javier game seven if they get that far, and McCullers coming out of the bullpen possibly for that, as he did in prior years. All right, so let's look at the matchup of the starters. Let me cover these adjustments. So why Will Smith, you may ask. So let's look at, if you guys have looked at the matchup article, I know this is going to be really hard to read, so I will point the arrow at the column here. So this column right here, I don't know if you can see it. It's essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the right. Will Smith right here. If you can see my little arrow, that is Will Smith. Let me do this. This might be better. That might be easier to read. So Will Smith right here with his stats as a Houston National. So number one question you have to ask yourself is: do you believe that Will Smith is fundamentally a different pitcher with the Houston Astros than he was with the Atlanta Braves earlier in the year? My answer to that is yes. Um, and my expectation was that the Astros would look at the Philly lineup. We'll cover that in a minute, but there's a lot of lefties in the lineup. Will Smith actually matches up real well with a lot of those players. Now, it's not that Seth Martinez is bad. Seth Martinez has some really good matchups right next to that. Jose Urquidy actually has a more challenging matchup, and I think Jose Urquidy really will come uh, in a basketball terms in garbage time, and so that's what I would expect to happen there. But yeah, Will Smith making the roster, not a ton of surprise. But let me show you specifically in with this here, and we can actually call up Will Smith in the guy. I will have more specific data if we get there during the game. If Will Smith comes in the game, I'll show up the specific pitching matchup for him. But you see, in summary of that, Will Smith versus Bryson Scott, Gene Segura, Brandon Marsh, and Kyle Schwarber. Two deep blues, meaning he's got one of the best advantages against those 7 and 9 batters in the Philadelphia lineup, and Kyle Schwarber. And when you can say, well, if they bring in Will Smith, let's say it's the seventh inning, they bring in Will Smith, then the Phillies could simply go pinch hit Matt Verling. Okay, well, if they did that, then the Astros have the advantage against Matt Verling in the ninth if they ever got to that point with the right-handed hitters or right-handed pitchers. So I don't think the Phillies are going to actually pull that trigger. So there's the reason why Will Smith, in case you guys were wondering. I did say in the article that hey, I would have loved to have seen potentially JJ Matijevic versus some of these relief pitchers. You see the 319 over here as the average versus some of the pitchers in the bullpen. The real reality was is that I just don't think they felt like they wanted to take the defensive risk of that. Um, and Jake Myers was really no advantage over Dubon, so they stuck with Dubon, and not a real surprise. I did bring it up as a possibility. So there you go. There is the pitching matrix and why. Look at the starting pitchers. I can show you. Let me cover this also. So why did they leave off Bailey Falter? Bailey Falter, as you can see here, is this massively red column. Basically, if Bailey Falter was in this game for more than a few innings, the Astros could the matchup guide would have predicted that they would have really raked on Bailey Falter. There was no real reason to have him pitch in this series for them. So, being a lefty, the Astros are just really good against left-handed pitching, and no real reason to have him there. All right, so let's talk about Verlander and Aaron Nola. So when we look at Kyle Schwarber, we covered in detail in another video. You can check it out at the website, Kyle Schwarber versus Justin Verlander. But these numbers over here on the right, this is the detail matchup that each one of the starting pitchers has in the spreadsheets that give you this data. This is the data that's on that table I just showed. And so you've got uh, Justin Verlander's pitching data versus lefties versus righties, and you have the Philly uh, expected WOBA data versus a right-handed pitcher. So what we do is we calculate what the expected results are. I show you in a series of 6 videos how I do that. I'm not going to cover that today, but please go to the article. It'll describe all that, and you will see the results here. And basically, Justin Verlander turns the Philadelphia Phillies into a very well, essentially below average lineup, with only JT Realmuto essentially being above average as a hitter, average being 310, expected WOBA. That's not to say that the Phillies could get Justin Verlander tonight. I'm just telling you what the matchup guide system, the relative strengths of Justin Verlander versus the Phillies, and what that looks like. So there you go. That's what we would expect, which you can probably see maybe and you can see it in the broader table. um, Bryce Harper does have some advantage against some of the relievers in the bullpen. So we could expect to see, here's Bryce Harper. You can see against some of these folks in the bullpen, and Rafael Montero, Hector Neris, Ryan Stanek, um, Luis Garcia. He's got some pretty good advantages, even Hunter Brown even. So it wouldn't be surprised if Bryce Harper does do something for the Phillies tonight late in the game. Okay. That's just the way that I read the guide. So Aaron Nola versus the Astros, you can see that Aaron Nola, a very good pitcher, does relatively shut down the Astros as well. But you see that who we're looking for tonight from the Astros standpoint is Jordan Alvarez, as we would look to from the guide matchups on just about every one of these. Jordan Alvarez 427. That's an incredibly high expected WOBA number. That's similar to his numbers during the season. So there you go. The offensive stars tonight are Bryce Harper for the Phillies late, Jordan Alvarez early and often during the game, and so a little bit Alvarez, Altuve, and Verlander. Verlander shutting down the Phillies, probably more than you're going to hear anybody in the press talk about. So there you go. That's my predictions for Game 1 and what the matchups say. What we will cover in later games in this series as we actually get some pitching data. Both teams are well rested coming into this game, obviously with 4 days off. So we will cover this as relief pitchers get used or as starting pitchers get used, and they talk about 3 days of rest and trying to bring them in, whether that's possible or not. Everyone's good to go tonight. So for more details, check out the Ultimate Houston Astros matchup guide. You'll see a lot more of this kind of data. Let me pause now. Any questions from either YouTube, and I will jump over on and see if there's any questions on Twitter. Any questions, guys? I don't see any there. Last call for questions. Otherwise, we will shut it down. This will be your daily update. Join us tonight at 6:30. We will have another. We will be watching the game, and have some special guests tonight. And we will. What we will do generally is we're not going to talk over the game unless the announcers get completely annoying, guys, and then I won't make any promises. But uh, we will not broadcast the game. I do not want to be accused of rebroadcasting the World Series. Not going to happen. I have the World Series on that TV right over there. I will shut the volume off on that when we turn up our mics. We'll mute our mics when we're watching the game and listening to the game. During commercial breaks, we'll shut the volume off on the TV, and then we will talk. What we'll cover during those times is essentially who's coming up in the next inning for the Astros, for example, in the bottom of the second or something. We'll talk about who's coming up, what pitches that would like they would likely do well against with Aaron Nola, what Nola's going to be trying to get the Astros out with, and we'll cover that. So it'll be baseball at a much deeper level than most announcing coverage that you ever get. So if you want to try something new, you want to experience the game of baseball at a much deeper than you're used to getting. Come join us tonight on Larry the GM, and you can join us on the YouTube channel, Larry the GM YouTube channel. And while you're here, I would ask for you guys to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you're watching this later on this afternoon, please like the video, please subscribe, and let us know if you have questions for tonight. We will definitely cover any questions during the game. So thanks, guys, and have a good night. And let's go Astros! It's the World Series, baby. Let's take it back. Let's do this. Let's level up. Let's win the World Series again. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.